Okay, it was storming here. November 29th, 2025. Midas Touch story. All hell breaks loose as Trump's invasion is caught on tape. Yeah, there's some crap going through on there. So the Trump stuff is going down. I want to try and talk a little bit more about that My Odyssey thing. If I can. A little bit of the weirder stuff. I have the disclaimer again that this stuff is my perception. All right, so I really don't know how real any of this is. How objectively real any of this was. And I'm going to be talking about. It was subjectively real, though. So, I believe before I went to the psychiatric facility, the dedicated psychiatric facility, I visited 3 police stations, and at one of them, let me try and get a better non-spookily dark picture of me. It's not working. So you're gonna just have to deal. At one of them, because it's night, it's 8:59, and like I said, it's raining. At one of them, I don't know, maybe they brought me in from the back or something. I remember them loading me, walking me into a room, and then kind of, it's like shackling me down to a chair. Now they would probably call that securing me or something like that. Securing the prisoner, right? Because maybe in their eyes I had been resisting or something. I don't know. My legs each arm was secured independently, I think, and my legs were like secured in some weird way. And it was, I mean, they were tightly secured. Everything was tightly secured, and there was pain involved. I mean, it was tight. It was tight enough that I could not move. So, if that is a way that a prisoner is secured, maybe not commonly, but at least sometimes, I mean, shit, you're definitely gonna get injured a lot just by being arrested. Even if you don't really resist during the arrest, you're going to get injured just by being secured. So that's something that, it's like you see that scene in Con Air where Garland, where they have Garland in that chair or whatever. That's not comfortable. The whole process of him, how he's shackled and everything, it's all of that is painful. Every point of shackling, it's causing pain constantly. So now after a little bit of time, you do get a little used to the pain. So whatever. But I experienced something through the course of that, and being in there. I'm going to try and describe what I experienced. I don't really know how to. I have the words in front of me and I don't. I mean, I'm really trying to match it. I don't know. I don't think this was the intent, but oh, between with the combination of the pain and the mental state I was in, it caused a kind of a a series of a cascade of spiritual sensations. Maybe you could call it a cascade of spiritual epiphanies that are very hard for me to remember. Not being in the moment and very odd experience. And it's very odd. I don't know how to, I mean, I still, I think about it. I think about that and the other experiences that I went through in that thing. I don't really know how to describe it with words. It's just very lacking. I feel like it would have to be, even if I were to translate it into film, it would it would not convey nearly every. So it's almost not even worth trying. And so I'll, I'll give the words. And they were faith, hope, joy, fear, love, pain, justice, peace, and courage. I think. I don't even know for sure. Some of them are, that I'm correct on some of them. Some of them may be incorrect. I don't know. And were the triggers or trigger sentiments. I see what I mean when I say it's hard to relay the experience It's very difficult because it was like I was meditating also in the experience, but I wasn't. Oh, man, it's very difficult to relay. It was something like a spiritual, but also I don't know. It was something that you don't tend to experience in the modern day. Uh, primal, archaic, test. Sort of thing. Anyways, so that was that. And there was one thing. Hold on. I have to pause this while I take a whiz. Alright, well. So that's one thing. I want to explain that I'm staying spiritual and staying away from the word religious because religious has other connotations to it. Spiritual is more neutral. So I just want to say spiritual. The other thing is later on after that, there were kind of two parts to this, but basic, dang it. Basically, I felt like I was in something that I can only call an ascension chamber. It's something that has very good acoustics. Anyone that just look up stuff. Just do a search. Look up things that have acoustics. Generally, you can go to like just old school like cathedrals and stuff would have really good acoustics. Stuff built like 18th century and before. Stuff before electronic equipment that can just generate the sound with microphones and stuff. When you needed the building itself to be the resonance chamber, to work as, work with your voice. That's what it is. A natural resonance chamber. So you could just search resonance chamber. Resonance chamber. A resonance chamber is a hollow cavity that enhances the transfer of energy from a sound source to the air through resonance, effectively amplifying sound. That's what the AI thing says. Very good acoustics. Anyways, in other words, an ascension chamber is in here what's, let's just say, primitive man made. They call it an ascension chamber when really that's what it is. It's just it's like a holy site, basically. And I think like there were Native American sites that had those. There are sites in Australia that had those. And they're used for holy rituals and stuff. And a lot of those, I'm pretty sure, are gone because they're destroyed by colonizers. Who, for some reason or another, they just didn't respect them, or they didn't give a shit. So they're destroyed for one reason or another. But the jail cell, one of the jail cells I was in, had very good acoustics. And so I was in there, and again, I was still in a kooky state of mind. So I was playing around with the acoustics in there. And yeah, other stuff. And in my mind, while playing around with the acoustics, I can't be sure, but in my mind, I was able to recreate the rebel yell. Now, whether I did or not, who knows? But in my mind, I did. So, who knows? The infamous rebel yell. I don't know. So that's an interesting thing. Again, who knows? I was able to, it was fun. It was just a fun experience being inside a decent size. I mean, because the ceiling was higher than a normal room, and that helps with the acoustics. So that was another thing that was interesting. Of course, being in a jail sucks. So yeah. When you're in that state of mind, And the final note I would like to say is that I would like to add something about the psychiatric hospital. I would like to add finally a note in general about psychiatric hospitals. And this is for society and specifically for psychiatrists. I don't think psychiatrists know that psychiatric hospitals have kind of an inherent flaw in them. And that is that they kind of work against the healing process. And let me explain what I mean by that. You can't ever really get any kind of worthwhile treatment in a psychiatric hospital because you can't get freedom from a psychiatric hospital by being honest about your condition, really. And that's how you need to start getting kind of some semblance of freedom from it and whatever. You need to be able to have the freedom to explore it. And if you do, you're going to stay in there. And nobody wants to stay in there. I mean, maybe you do if your life is absolute garbage. You have nothing going on with you. Then possibly it is an improvement in your life. And I mean, you have to have absolutely nothing going on for you. Then okay, maybe it's an improvement. Then maybe, sure, it can work in your favor, to be totally honest. But that is such a narrow sliver of American society. So for most people, the treatment is going to be just playing the role of as normal as possible to get out. And since America is what it is, almost no one is going to be able to afford any kind of outpatient therapy or whatever you need to start on that road, because therapy requires some kind of insurance to cover the therapist. Therapists are expensive as crap. Psychiatry is expensive as crap, which you need to go there and you need to explore and stuff for a little while for them to say, all right, we're going to try this drug. And you might need to go through several drugs before they'll find one that will be right for you. And the problem with psychiatric drugs is it can have messed up side effects. Really messed up side effects. So, again, doing that experiment on the outside can be risky. So it's kind of like where do you want to do that? Do you want to do it on the outside? No. It's not, I mean, rationally, you kind of don't want to do that on the outside, both for yourself and for others. But, I mean, what are you going to do? You're going to sacrifice your freedom? Probably, possibly, for who knows how long? I mean, it could be months. And these facilities are horrible a lot of the times. And even if they're not horrible, they aren't your home. They aren't your safe space. And nothing is safer and more comfortable than your safe space. So yeah, that is, it's kind of a bad, I mean, that's why I'm saying they're kind of inherently flawed, because there's just no really good way to approach that situation, and they're kind of treating severe mental health definitely is kind of least objectionable, the least objectionable alternative is what you're trying to go after, which is just a bad way to do anything. And moderate to mild, should be done, in my opinion, as outpatient, entirely as outpatient. But this country doesn't provide, full service to every citizen. Medical care, just blanket full service, covered as a default, all medical care to at the very least, every citizen. What I suggest is every civilian in the country. I don't give a crap if you're a civilian or a citizen. I just plain don't give a crap. We have the resources. And you know what? Even if we don't have the resources, that's a problem that we need to find a solution to, not a problem that we need to choke out the people that don't deserve it to. A problem to be fixed, not a problem to be, expunged or whatever. That's all. Something to be solved with love and compassion, not solved by kicking people in the fucking dick. It's very simple to me. I mean, so yeah, there's that. Yeah, and that goes back to the whole faith, hope, joy, fear, love, pain, justice, peace, and courage thing. You need to have more faith. You need to have more hope, more joy, less fear, more love, and some people need more pain in their life so they can experience true justice, and we all need more peace. So hopefully we can achieve a society of courage. So there you go. Weave your own word salad. I think the people that need more pain are the people that have experienced too little in their life, not the people that have experienced a life devoid of pain. Faith and love, as well as joy. Well, faith and love will relieve pain and yield joy, or something like that. I don't know. I can't really remember what happened. Something happened. I don't know. Something. It's probably best not even to try and remember it because you know, you don't get many moments like that in your life. So, and you don't need to be remorseful of their passing either. It's better to be glad that you had the few that you had. Grateful. Of the few that you had. Hopefully take something permanent away from them. guess that's all for now. There are a few other things that, more than a few other things that happened that I don't know. Also, words lacking. But I guess the best experiences in life are like that. Personal and extremely difficult to relate to others. So, okay. Tax rich people, kneecap, and boobs out.